All right. Good morning, guys. So, in our last session, we have discussed a couple of S3 properties, like what exactly versioning and all, and how to allocate a tag, and what are the free time limitations, and all we have discussed in our last session, right? So, any questions on previous session for me, guys?
I have changed storage class from standard to Glacier for one object. After retrieving it back, it's not opening as a public one.
Okay. So whenever you made any, have you edited the setting under
No,
permission?
actually there are other files in the bucket. I have changed the bucket to public already.
Okay.
Other files I
So
am
then,
able to access to public.
yeah.
And
So you need to make this object also public.
that option is disabled actually.
Yes, as it is in a Glacier, it won't allow you to. So only couple of options. Whenever object is in Glacier, one is open. Second one is
Okay.
download as. These three options will be enabled. Remaining, it won't. So basically, whatever the object we have in Glacier, we cannot make it public.
Okay.
So we like so let me quickly. So earlier we used to have that option, but recently Amazon, they are not even giving delayed Glacier object directly from control. For example, you have moved that object to Glacier, right? So if you
Yeah.
try to delete that object also, it is not allowing us. So if you
Okay.
want to delete, either you need to empty the entire bucket, otherwise you need to use the command line interface. So Glacier object we cannot make public. We cannot delete it by using the console. Yes, we have limitations on the Glacier data. So programmatically, we need to initiate the delete option. So for that, the command is AWS S3 RM S3 // bucket name / object name. So whenever you give this, so then it's going to delete. So this is the option you need to follow if you want to delete. Otherwise, so at moment, the easiest option is empty the bucket. Whenever you empty the bucket, everything is going to delete along with the glazed option also.
Okay. I have also tried one thing. If once I upload a file, vpc.txt, and
Mhm.
if I and I change the storage class to standard IA,
Mhm.
and file is public, but it is also public.
Mhm.
If I re-upload the file again, it is asking under additional settings. There is an option to uh, check whether the file will be public, or also we need to select the storage class again. If we don't select them, it's taking default as standard, and defaultly there is no public access. Means whenever we upload a new file, we need to make it again public, and
Okay.
again we need to check the class.
So whenever you are uploading a new object to S3 platform, so first of all, it will treat as a completely new object.
Okay.
The newly uploaded one treated as a completely new object. So we need to make it public. First thing. Second thing, by default storage class is S3 standard. You can set one thing. For example, you want to use infrequently access as a default storage class for this entire bucket. You can navigate to properties and you can change the storage class at bucket level. Then all the data, you can even upload that options at folder level also. You can entirely change the storage class and all. So but if you don't modify that feature, so the data will defaultly pick S3 standard first thing. So now you made this object public. You went here, actions, make public. So fine, this object is a public. So now if you go here, if you pick it, So this public URL is going to work, right? So you have overridden same file with the different data and also technically what Amazon is going to treat. Okay, this is the latest override to the existing one. So now if you want to, like if you try to access this, it won't allow.
Yeah.
So the reason is you got two objects. See, whenever you enable versioning, you can find, so this is a previous one where you made it as a public that got overridden with a new one. So that is overriding all the settings of that existing file. It will go and pick the default option. So
Okay.
again, you need to make this data also public. So
Okay.
generally, we don't make data publicly accessible.
Okay. This happens when we enable versioning, or if you don't enable versioning, also same procedure.
Every time, regardless of
Okay. Without
versioning,
versioning
you need to,
also.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an option that we can change storage class automatically after some days and all. Okay, I didn't get last two session recorded videos. So please contact Naresh team. I hope you have their WhatsApp ID or email. So please contact them. They will help share that videos. All right, when coming to bucket properties, we have just a couple of important properties. Remaining all are not that much important properties. Versioning is important. Lifecycle management role is important. Cross-region replication or same region replication and encryption. So these options are important. Remaining all we really don't use. So this lifecycle management role also in less cases, encryption we uses. So we are going to discuss these things as a priority. Then we will go and discuss all the remaining small options. Right. So here,
Avinash, I have a question. Can I?
yeah.
Yeah. So how is S3 different from NAS? Both are network-based storage, right? And so I didn't understand. Can you explain the difference?
Here I explained that.
Okay, but NAS and
As
S3,
you can
right?
edit, NAS you can edit and you can associate to multiple servers. You can install application by creating LUNs and all. But here, no installation, no edit on the go, and
No
it,
edit on the go. Okay.
yeah. So you must download your local, then you need to edit, then you need to re-upload. It's just a place where you can store the flat files. But NAS or SAN, so you can install anything, you can run your clusters, you can create a volume, you can associate to your server, you can detach from that server, you can attach to another server if you want. But can we perform all those things here? No.
Okay.
It's just like a flat files where you can store, where you can give that access to different server.
Okay.
Naresh, sorry. Avinash, I have a question. So take an example. My bucket is into a different location. It's into some Europe state, and I'm into India. So I'm getting some issue while extracting the file or like doing because of latency. So do we have any other option, like we can create a cloud front and that kind of stuff and store this file?
Yeah, we can. CloudFront we will discuss. Whenever we discuss CloudFront service, there I'm going to take an S3 bucket only, then I'm going to share all the data. So we have CloudFront. We will discuss in that CloudFront session, not now.
Okay.
All right. So the first option is lifecycle management role. So when coming to lifecycle management role, so whenever you upload any data, so by default it will be in S3 standard that we already know. So from S3 standard, so after some days, you want to move the data to different storage class, right? So why? So where we have a particular access pattern, like, first 30 days, we are going to access on daily basis. After that, we are going to access monthly once, or we might not access that. But after some more days, like, at some point of time, you want to delete. So you want to automate that process. You really don't want to perform it manually. So you want to automate that process. So in that case, we are going to depend on an option called lifecycle management role, where you can transit data from one storage class to another storage class. to transit data from one storage class to another storage class, or to delete data automatically after given days. So we are going to use this lifecycle management rule. Okay, so only you can configure forward. There is no option to get it, backward. So here, whatever the values I'm going to mention, these values are object creation date. From object creation date. So by default, it come to S3 standard. So from S3 standard, if you want to move your data to infrequently access, so you can choose standard infrequently access or one zone infrequently access here. So both I'm writing in single layer. Of course, you can write standard here, one zone here, and you can move. So, but as both contain same property, I'm going to write it in only one layer. So from S3 standard, so first 30 days you are going to access on daily basis. After 30 days, for coming 6 months, you need that file immediately, but you're not going to access on daily basis. So you can move the data to standard infrequently access or one zone infrequently access. So after 6 months or after 1 year, so you don't require that file immediately, but you need to have that file for compliance reasons, or you don't want to have. So some companies, they want to keep their data for 10 years or 15 years. So, but they don't access it. But for compliance reasons, whenever they got into any issues and all, then they will go and they will look into that, archives. So Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive. So you can pick Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive. So I'm writing both in a single layer. So at some point of time, like after 7 years or after 2 years or after 3 years, you want to delete that object, right? So you can delete it. So the possible transition scenarios are from S3 standard, we can move it to infrequently access, then we can move it to Glacier, then we can trigger to delete it. See, for current version of the objects, we can do that. For previous version of object also, we can do that. So this is one possible transition. Another one, so you have data in S3 standard. You don't require to move it to standard, and also from S3 standard, you want to move it to Glacier. Then at some point of time, you want to delete the data. Then we can. Otherwise, so you can take the data in S3 standard, you have the data, then at some point of time you want to delete. So this we choose based on the client requirement. Based on the client requirement, we are going to choose this, right? So here, so we have some minimum duration values. If you observe in our last session, whenever we are discussing about the storage classes, there is a value here. There is a value, right? Minimum storage duration 30 days, 90 days, 180 days and all. So basically, so if you want to move the data to infrequently access, that object must create it 30 days. That object age must be 30 days. Then only you can move it to infrequently access. So here, it should be available in S3 standard for 30 days minimum. So whatever the values I'm mentioning here, these are the minimum values. So I created an object. That object is in S3 for 30 days. After 30 days, it got moved to infrequently access. So then from infrequently access, again, it should be available in infrequently access for minimum of 30 days. So 30 plus 30, so after 90 days, you can move it to Glacier from object creation date. So that's what this value is. Here, if you want to move anything to Glacier, so that object must be created before 90 days. So then you can move it to Glacier. So then whenever you're configuring transition, it should be 60 days. I'll talk about that. So whenever you're configuring, it should be in standard for 30 days, another 30 days in standard infrequently access. So then you can move it to Glacier. Immediate next day, we can trigger to delete it. Immediate next day, that means 61 days. So you can trigger to delete this object. So these are the minimum durations whenever you are configuring lifecycle management role if you want to follow the first transition. When coming to the second transition, so from S3 standard, you want to move it to Glacier. So only 1 day is fine. Immediate next day, you can move the data to Glacier and within 2 days, you can trigger to delete it. If it is following this, then these are the minimum values. If you are going with this blue color transition, immediate next day, we can move it to Glacier, then we can trigger to delete it. Okay. So when coming to the last one, your data should be available for 1 day in S3 standard. So then we can move the data to delete option. When coming to delete, again, we have current version of the object and previous version of the object. We have current version of the object and previous version. So you can apply this lifecycle management role, one role to all this previous version of the object. So you can apply any of the one to previous one, any of the one to current version of the object, right? So these are the possible transitions. So let's jump in and let's try to create this lifecycle management role. So under management of your S3 bucket, you can find lifecycle rules. Okay. So click on create lifecycle rule. What is a lifecycle rule name you want to give? You can give that here. Okay, I want to give a name like, custom LCR lifecycle rule and choose a rule scope. So yesterday I mentioned this. If you want to apply this lifecycle role to a particular folder within this bucket, you can give it. Okay, for example, I have a folder called test and I want to apply this lifecycle management role to only this test folder. So don't include the bucket name, only folder name you should give. Okay, so, okay, I want to make this applicable to only test folder, so I can give it here. Otherwise, what are all the data we have in this bucket? If you want to make it applicable for entire bucket, then we can choose this. This rule apply to all the S3 bucket. See? So if you want to apply to entire bucket, then only choose this. Okay, I'm acknowledging that I want to apply for my entire bucket. So then lifecycle rule options. So transition current version of the object between storage class. So then here it is going to show. So initially our data is in S3 standard. Okay, from S3 standard to where you want to move. I want to move my data to one zone standard infrequently access. How many days? For example, if I'm trying to give 1 day, see here minimum of 30 days is required before transitioning. So 30 days. Add transition. So here from standard, if you want to move it to one zone, of course you can do that, but both contain same properties, right? No one do that. So then we go with the Glacier. So when, so if you're trying to give like, 30 days here, it won't accept. So minimum, like, 30 days from infrequently access. So total 60 days. So standard infrequently access 30 days. After 60 days, it goes to Glacier. So if you want to add like any Glacier deep archive and all, you can. See, after Glacier, can we go back again to infrequently access one zone? So backward transition is not possible here, right? So in this scenario, I have configured this transition. I haven't configured delete yet. If you want to further delete, here we have an option. Expire current version of the object. So when do you want to delete this? Okay, on 61st day, I want to delete. So in this case, first it going to standard infrequently, then going to Glacier, then it is deleting. So this transition I have configured now. So if you don't want to go with the transition, so what you can do? Transition current version of the object. So I want to configure this standard to directly Glacier, then delete. So go here, pick Glacier. When? Immediate next day, I want to move it to Glacier. Then when do you want to delete? Within 2 days itself or within 5 days itself, I want to delete. So we are configuring this transition. Otherwise, you just want to directly from S3 standard, you want to delete. So then don't select anything here. Directly, okay, my current version of the object is going to expire after 2 days. That means when any object is uploaded to S3 bucket, it is going to delete automatically after 2 days. If it is a current version, as versioning is enabled, we are going to get a delete marker. So once object made as a previous one. So, that we can configure for previous version of the object. So at moment we configured for current version of the object, previous version. Here is an option. Transition previous version of the object between storage classes. Okay, for previous version, I don't want to go with any of this thing. I want to permanently delete immediate next day. So when object became non-current, immediate next day, it is going to permanently delete. So here is a summary you can see. So I want to show the output. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select. So for current version of the object from S3 standard, I'm moving it to Glacier within 1 day. Okay, so that means once an object is uploaded, after 1 day it goes to Glacier, then within 2 days it is going to delete. Okay, so this for current version of the object. For previous version of the object, I want to configure this directly from S3 standard. I want to delete this. So for that, no need to select that moving to storage class from S3 standard. Directly I'm triggering to delete. Okay, after 1 day I'm triggering to delete. So here you can find when an object is created, then immediate next day it goes to Glacier, then it is going to expire. When we have a previous version object, when it become previous version, immediate next day it will delete. Okay, so this is a summary. Then click on create rule, and we have another option, that is you have like a expire delete markers, and basically this feature, this incomplete multipart and all, it's not related to lifecycle management role, but as it is a very small feature, Amazon added here. So incomplete multipart upload. So when coming to this multi-part upload, if you are trying to upload a large file into Amazon S3 bucket, the file upload as a small chunks. So whenever you're downloading any movie from torrent, so what happened? So that movie is going to download as a small parts. By end of that, it is going to combine everything. You are going to get only one file. Have you ever observed this? From torrent or from internet download manager. So this happens. So similarly, whenever you're trying to upload any file to S3 platform, if it is a large file, and you can initiate multi-part upload option. The multi-part upload have an option called where you can pause, where you can resume the download and all. So if you're just dragging and dropping, it is not a multi-part upload. So we have a separate API for that. So you need to use that, or we need to upload via CLI, right? So whenever you are initiating in that manner, the file I am uploading, it should upload to S3 platform within 2 days. If it is failed to upload within 2 days, I want to cancel this job, and whatever the temporary or incomplete multi-part we have, that I want to delete everything. So in that case, we can select this option. Delete, expire delete marker, or incomplete multi-part upload. When do you want to? So delete incomplete multi-part uploads after number of days. Okay, well, whatever the upload I initiated, that should complete within 1 day. If it is not completed, it is going to delete all the temporary or incomplete multi-part. Okay, so that is not something related to this lifecycle management role. Okay, so then scroll down, click on create rule. Now this lifecycle rule was successfully added, and it is in enable state only. So temporarily you want to disable it, you can select it, navigate to actions, disable rule also. Now, after enabling this lifecycle management role, whenever you go to any of the object, here it shows when this object is going to expire. What is the expiration date and what is the expiration rule? So custom LCR is the expiration rule applied on this bucket. On March 6th, this object will get the delayed marker. Why? First thing, versioning is enabled. When versioning is enabled, when bucket versioning is enabled, we will get a delayed marker if it is the latest version. So this is the latest version and it is going to get a delayed marker. So when that object is going to delete, so this is my object vpc.txt. So when this object deleted, what happened? Delete marker is going to create. So this delete marker is the latest version. Will technically treat it as this is the previous version. Whatever the one you configured, lifecycle management role you configured for this previous one. So on that particular day, this also delete. Okay. So this is how exactly lifecycle management role works. And sometimes we just configure pretty straightforward things like, okay, we want to move the data from the storage class to another storage class after this, or most of the times directly from standard to Glacier we move, and we are going to keep it for based on client requirement, we configure it for 7 years. So you can give 9999 days also here, right? So then after 7 years, it should delete automatically. So by using this lifecycle management role, we can transit the storage classes of that objects. So any question on this lifecycle management role, guys?
Hi Avinash, this is you says that by creation date, if the same file is modified, is there any modified object there?
Okay, if you modify an object and you are going to re-upload, so what happens? That re-uploaded one become as the latest version. This will become as a previous version.
So still it is considered as a technically is a created date.
Yes. See, now I'm uploading again this vpc.txt. So earlier we have only 2 versioned objects. One is latest version and one is previous version. But now 2 previous versions, 1 latest version. For previous versions, which one we configured? This red color transition. So after 1 day, these 2 is going to delete automatically. When this one, it's going to give a delete marker, then it will trigger to delete automatically.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, right. So I'll keep this active. This lifecycle management role, I'll keep this active and I'll show you output after a couple of days, it's deleting automatically or not and all. So the next important feature on our bucket is that is a same region replication or cross region replication. So when coming to same region replication, this recently introduced option. Earlier we have only one option, that is a cross region replication. But recently we got same region replication also. So whatever the data you have in bucket 1, you can replicate the data to another bucket. If another bucket is in same region, we call it as the same region, otherwise cross region. So I'm going to explain cross region replication. You guys just go with the same region replication. Why? Because data transfer out from one region to another region is going to cost us. Okay, so this is my bucket 1 and this bucket is in Mumbai region and this is my bucket 2. So this bucket, you can take any region, this bucket is in Singapore region. So whenever you configure the same region replication or cross region replication, we are going to have a source bucket and destination bucket. So I'm going to configure replication from Mumbai to Singapore. So when end customer upload any data to this Mumbai region bucket, that data will replicate to Singapore region bucket automatically. Why? For disaster recovery purpose, we use this feature. Something happened, so someone deleted data in Mumbai region bucket. You should have another copy of the data in another region, so then you can use it. Or due to some technical reasons, Mumbai region is down, so you can get all the data from Singapore region, right? So whatever the data you upload to Mumbai region, it will replicate to Singapore region automatically. So my source bucket is in Mumbai, my destination bucket is in Singapore, so we call it as a cross region replication. If source bucket also in Mumbai, destination bucket also in Mumbai, we call it as the same region replication. Okay, so it just depends on, like, destination bucket location. If both are in same region, otherwise cross region. So there is no big difference. So it all depends on the requirement, right? So, and if you observe, I'm mentioning only one side arrow, one way replication is going to happen. See, in reverse way, will it happen? No. So whatever the object you have here, once it got replicated, that object property will show it as a replica. See, here I have an object. Whenever we go to properties of this object, it is not showing replication status and all. What it is showing, it is not showing anything. It is not a replica copy. It is a primary copy. Whenever this has replicated to the destination bucket, when you go to properties of that object, it will show it as a replica. Okay. So it's a one-way replication. And can we configure in reverse manner? Of course, you can do that, but one limitation. Replica object cannot replicate back. If it is also replicate, so we will get into infinity loop, right? So object got uploaded here, it got copied here. So what that operation is? Put operation, then immediately this will try to create an object here. So it will lead to infinity loop. So in what scenario we can configure this? So this replica object will not replicate if you upload any object manually to this bucket. So those objects will replicate, but we never configure like that. There is no real meaning for that actually. So one-way replication we can configure here. If you want to configure to any other bucket, from this bucket, if you want to configure to any other bucket, of course you can do that. But important thing is this object contain a property called replica. That data won't replicate to destination bucket. Only created and all, only they replicate to destination bucket. And can we replicate to multiple regions at a time? That means, okay, I have a bucket in Singapore region and I have another bucket in Northern Virginia. Can I enable replication? In this case also, answer is no. In this case also, the answer is no. So why? One source and one destination. If you want to, you can edit this. You can pick another bucket in Singapore and all, but it won't accept, like, from one to many, it won't accept. One bucket to one bucket only, it will accept. Okay. So this is a theoretical part about the replication. So let's jump in and let's configure this. And one more thing before configuring that. So we have data here in, source bucket, and you're accessing this data on daily basis. So what you can do, you can have S3 standard as a storage class. See, this is we are configuring for disaster recovery purpose. This one we are configuring for disaster recovery purpose. So do we really need to maintain same storage class here? Not required. So whatever the replicated data you have, if you want to maintain a different storage class, so yes, while configuring this replication, we can mention the replicated data should contain different storage class. You just need to enable one option for this replica copies. What storage class you required? Okay, I want to get one zone infrequently access. So automatically replicated data will get one zone infrequently access as a storage class. Okay, so let's configure that now. So we can use an existing bucket as a source and destination, or you can create a bucket on the go also. So one thing, source bucket and destination bucket must be enabled with the versioning. Right. So here I'm going to use this Mumbai region bucket. Navigate to property and you can verify, okay, this bucket is in Mumbai region. This bucket is in Mumbai region. So now I want to configure replication. So navigate to management. Here replication rule option is there. Click on create replication rule. What is the replication rule name is? So custom cross region replication. So you want to keep this in enable state or disable state? We can choose that here. I'm going to keep it in enable state once it got created. And priority, we'll talk about that. What is the source bucket? Avinash 9 is my source bucket. In what region this bucket is? It is in Mumbai region. Again, do you want to apply this to a particular folder or entire bucket? Okay, I want to apply this to entire bucket. So now, where is the destination? See, Avinash 9 is a source bucket. The destination bucket, where exactly it is. So choose a bucket in this account, or you can replicate to another AWS account bucket also. So like whenever you are replicating to another AWS account bucket, so you need to perform some additional configuration settings. You need to generate a bucket policy and you need to give it. So at moment, I'm going to choose a bucket in this account only. Now, where exactly it is? Click on browse S3. So you can just go here. You can pick to what region bucket you want to replicate. That we need to pick. Right. So let's create a bucket. Earlier we have a create bucket. Basically the UI got updated, guys. A couple of days back, this S3 UI got updated. So some features they have revoked actually. Right, so Avinash 9.replica is a name I'm giving for a bucket, and I'm going to create this bucket in Singapore region, and bucket versioning must be enabled, otherwise we cannot use this bucket. Then click on create bucket. So now go back here, click on browse S3, and Avinash 9.replica bucket is there. It is in Singapore region. So I'm selecting that particular bucket. Then choose path. So from this particular bucket, I'm going to configure a replication to this Avinash 9.replica bucket where it is in the Singapore region. Okay. And we need some permission, like, to create this. Just go here, click on create new role. Don't worry about that. We will talk later. So just go to IAM role and select the first option, create new role. Scroll down and here is an encryption. So as I mentioned, like, whatever the data you are replicating from source bucket to destination bucket. So when it is in transit state, if you want to enable encryption, you can do that. Encryption is our tomorrow's topic. Don't worry about that at the moment. So this option, the source contain S3 standard, destination also should go with the same storage class, or you want to change the storage class of the destination bucket, that we can give it here. Change the storage class for the replicated objects. So if you don't select this, if our data is S3 standard here also our data will get S3 standard only. If you select this option, it will ask us, okay, for the replicated data, what is the storage class you want to use? For replicated data, I want to use one zone infrequently access. Just to show you output, I'm selecting this. Okay. So now any data replicated from source to destination, any data replicate from source to destination, those data will contain storage class as a one zone infrequently access. Right. Then we have an additional replication options. So we have a feature called RTC, replication time control. So basically, whenever you enable this, when we enable this feature, all the objects, how big that object is, that doesn't matter. All the object will replicate within 15 minutes. If If you don't enable this feature, it might take like, more than 15 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes also, right? So, but remember, this is going to, so these all features, additional charges applicable, additional fee will apply. So we don't enable this feature, guys. It is going to cost very heavily. And as it is a backup copy, so no, no need to go with this replication time control and all. If it is an important bucket, production bucket, and client is very particular about the backup job and all, that should, whatever the data you upload here, that should be available here within 15 minutes. If it is a small text file and all, no need to worry. But whenever you are working on TBs of the data, then this will do the trick. Otherwise, no need to. So whenever you enable this feature, you are going to get some graphs. This is related to that. So delete marker, whenever any delete marker got created by lifecycle management roles. So do you want to delete the delete markers? Yes. So basically, whenever you enable this feature, delete markers created by lifecycle rules is not going to be replicated. Replica modification sync. So whenever you modified any metadata on the object, metadata means yesterday I talked about the data about the data, these tags, whatever modification you perform on this tag, do you want to replicate that? So then you can enable. So I'm not enabling any of this option. Click on save. So now a replication rule has been configured. See here. So the scope is entire bucket and storage class. Whatever the data we are replicating, I'm selecting one zone infrequently accessed as a storage class. Let's see. So this is my destination bucket. It's a Singapore bucket. Okay. And this is my source bucket. That is a Mumbai region bucket. Now, an important thing here is existing data will not replicate. All the future or subsequent uploads will replicate to destination bucket. So before enabling this cross-region replication or same region replication, whatever the data we have here in this bucket, for example, we have vpc.txt, test folder, new folder in this Mumbai region, right? Is it replicating here? No, it's not replicating. Why? This data is there before enabling the versioning. So how to get this data? Very simple. Select all, go to actions, copy. Where do you want to copy? Entire data I want to copy to another bucket, all the data. Like I want to copy to this another bucket. Then we can copy the data. So that feature is available. Otherwise, we have a one simple command, that sync command, that will do all the trick. So, but important thing is existing data will not replicate. Now I'm going to upload an object to Mumbai region bucket. See, I'm in Mumbai region bucket and I'm going to upload. So iam.txt, vpc, s3.txt, 3 files I'm uploading here. Scroll down, click on upload. All the 3 files got uploaded successfully here in the source bucket. Whenever you navigate to property of that particular bucket, here you can find the status. What is the replication status? It is pending. That means it haven't replicated to destination bucket yet. Okay. So whenever this replication status has marked as a complete, we will get that object here. So it's loading and here you can see we got all the 3 objects, and go back here, give a refresh, and you can find replication status as a completed. So now whatever the data I uploaded to this Mumbai region, that data got replicated to Singapore region bucket. And if you observe, this storage class is one zone infrequently accessed, one zone infrequently accessed and all. Why? As we have mentioned that whatever the data we replicating, I decided to change the storage class of this object. So that's why we are getting it as a one zone infrequently accessed. Okay. Now I'm going to select this iam.txt and I'm deleting it. So I'm deleting this object, delete object. So now will it delete from the destination bucket? No, it won't delete from the destination bucket. So that object got deleted successfully here in the source bucket, but it is not replicating the delete operation. Okay, so that's another option. And can we upload any object directly to this bucket? Of course we can do that. See, now I'm in Singapore bucket. If I directly upload any of the object, let's see what happened. I'm going to take r53.txt and I am uploading to the Singapore region bucket, and it got uploaded successfully. But see, this object contain storage classes as S3 standard. Why it is not contain one zone? Why? Because it's uploaded directly. So whenever you configure replication from this particular bucket to any other bucket, from this bucket to this bucket, or from this bucket to any other bucket, if you configure replication, only this object will replicate. This one zone infrequently one will not replicate. Why? If you observe, if you pick this iam.txt, if you observe, this object is going to contain status as a replica. So what are all the data contain replication status as a replica will not considered to replication. See, this another object. So whatever the one we uploaded directly root 53.1, so does it contain anything as a replica? No, right? So then this will consider for the replication, but whatever the data replicated from source, that will not considered for the replication. It should not contain this. It should not contain replication status as a replica. So then it will replicate to another bucket. So that is another thing. And see this, still that iam.txt is available here, it's not deleted. So whenever you have, like, source bucket and destination bucket, and even if you want to copy this back to the source bucket, we can do that. So go to actions, copy the data to what bucket. Okay, I want to move this data to, like, individual objects, all the data, choose destination. Come on. Okay, sorry. Here we need to pick to what bucket you want to. So pick that object, then select the bucket, click on browse. So here is S3 bucket. Okay, to what bucket you want to move and all, then go here and pick that. So do you want to move into any other folder? Pick that, click on choose destination. So it will be copied back. So let me do that. I have selected move. Let me click on copy to another bucket. So then I'm selecting S3 bucket. Avinash 9 is the bucket. Choose and click on copy. So immediately, so that object is going to copy it here. We will get that iam.txt. So, but one thing you need to pay attention, that storage class will come from the destination storage class only. So as it contain one zone infrequently accessed here, the same got like here, so we can change it. So that is all about the replication. And one small task here. So in one bucket, we can create multiple replications. One, like, for one folder, you can create one replication, another folder, you can create another replication. But one thing, from same source to same destination, you can. So whenever you are creating multiple replications, we have a concept called replication priority. So what exactly this is? What is replication priority? What does 0 stands for? Okay, so what does 1 stands for? So I just want you to understand this. So if you observe, here is a replication role, the priority now it is set to 0. Why? Because we have only one. If you create any other replication role, so here you can see the priority, it is picking as a 1. So which one is going to have highest priority. So that I want you to understand. So just take a minute and configure that and try to understand that. Right? So that is another option. So just try to understand what is replication priority. What does 0 means and what does 1 means. Right? So task 2 is configure lifecycle management rule to transit data from S3 standard to delete for current version, also for previous version of the object, to delete after 1 day or 2 days. You can choose. So just configure. So just try to configure from S3 standard to delete only. So if you are moving data to another storage class, it will cost you guys. So please don't go with the Glacier or infrequently access storage classes. So only S3 standard comes under free tier eligibility. So that's why I'm mentioning from S3 standard to directly delete it. So that is another task for today. Okay. So we have like a lot of another options like a encryption and all. So this is encryption is very important one. So you can expect one certification question from this encryption. So a bit lengthy topic. So that as a first thing we will discuss in our next session. Then we will go with all the remaining options of this S3 bucket. Right. So any questions before closing the session, guys?
Yeah. So hi, Avinash. Towards the beginning of the session, you discussed the multiple availability zones, right? Like that also is one concept, right? And I completely understand this replication concept. But how are these interrelated, or how are they different from each other?
I didn't get your question.
So when you were talking about like initially, like when we started the course, right, you were talking about like the multiple availability zone concept that, if like,
Yes.
So if somebody is setting up like the multi-AZ concept, right, like already, like when they are setting up the account or they are setting up S3.
Multi-AZ concept is there for database and all. So
okay,
by defaultly, if you are picking like a S3 standard as a storage class, we are going to have 3 copies of the data. That is absolutely fine. But where the 3 copies resides, it's in same region only, right?
Okay, so that's
the same region. Yes. If you want to replicate, like when entire Mumbai goes down, that data will not be available. Okay. So to overcome that, I want to maintain another copy in another region, or like we have clients in 2 different geographical locations where whatever the data we upload here, that should be available to different geographical location users also. So in that scenario, we go with the cross region or same region replication.
Okay. And the availability zone thing was more for a DB setup. Okay.
Multi-AZ feature is for like a database thing.
Okay. Okay. All right. And we haven't discussed that. Okay. Sorry.
We haven't discussed that yet.
Avinash, one question, like do Amazon cost us while we do this replication stuff?
Replication is not going to cost us. See, I'm asking you to configure same region replication. So basically same region replication won't cost us.
In production also it won't cost, correct? Not on storage also.
Yes. So same region replication won't cost, but cross region replication will cost us mainly for data transfer. Not only here, data transfer from one region to another region, it is going to cost us. So that's why I mentioned I'm demonstrating cross region replication. You guys practice with the same region replication. That's why I mentioned that thing. Okay, what will happen when we lost the data in original region due to natural disaster and the destination data already got expired? Destination data, we haven't configured anything, right? I haven't configured any replication like a lifecycle management role and my destination region. See, why we are creating this replication? For disaster recovery purpose. When something happened to that Mumbai, I want to keep another copy, so I choose the Singapore region. So if you configure replication rule on destination bucket and if you make it expire after 1 day or 2 days, does it make any sense? No, right? So destination bucket is going designed for disaster recovery purpose. Your backup copy is there. So we don't apply any lifecycle management roles on the destination bucket. So if you want to, after 1 year or 2 years, if you really don't require, then you can configure that. But we really don't configure. So it won't expire. Yes, that's what I shown that, right? Pragati, like here I deleted that iam.txt. Is it deleted from this bucket? No. If you delete data in source bucket, it won't delete from destination bucket. I hope that answers your question. Right. So yeah.
Avinash, cross region replication means like currently we are selecting Asia as a region. So if I want to move to Europe or some different location, so will that work with CRR?
See, you can choose any region. You
Okay.
can choose any region. See, while configuring where exactly your destination bucket is, whenever you're creating a bucket, first of all, where in what region you want to, then go and choose a region, then you can configure the replication.
And Avinash, like take an example, we are sitting in Asia and my client is in Europe. So can I ask them, can you just upload one file to, like you use a cross region replication and upload file to Asia region, so we'll not get an latency issue.
Yes. See, your Asia users, for example, let's treat this bucket is in Northern Virginia. So whatever the modification happened here, that will come here. And if you enable vice versa, if they upload any object, that will come here. So technically both buckets are going to be in sync. Now, all your Asian users can access this Mumbai region. All your America users or like, United States users can access this Northern Virginia bucket. Instead of like, coming and accessing from USA to Mumbai, they can get same data from this particular bucket, right?
Mm-mm. Will this applicable for RDS also?
Forget about RDS. We haven't started that right?
Mm-mm. Okay.
Avinash, just a question, right? We configured source in the target buckets, right? So there is a possibility the replication was happening over the time, right? And there would be multiple files in the source buckets which would have been deleted, right? Now, if my source bucket, because of some reason, is not available, and if I have to recover the data, right, then probably there would be a lot of files which will be coming from my destination bucket to the source bucket.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you please? No. I didn't understand your question. Please, can you repeat that?
Okay, so we just saw an example, right, where you deleted one file from the source bucket, but that file was there in the target bucket, the destination bucket, right? And if I have to restore, maybe because of some disaster, right, I have lost my source bucket, and I have to restore my data from the target bucket, the destination bucket, right? Then in that case, there would be a lot of files which would have been already been deleted from the source bucket, right? So how do we manage that in that case?
See, what exactly data you want to restore, you have an option to choose that here, right? So generally, when disaster recovery scenario happen, we don't like, get all the data from destination to source and all. We will modify, okay, get the data from this S3 bucket. We are going to just change the URL. We will give this ARN or we will just give, okay, whatever the data you have in source, what the source URL is configured in your application. So far your application is getting all the data from the source bucket. When something happened to this bucket, just do only one modification. Okay, hey application, so far you are getting all the data from here. Now get the data from this particular bucket. You just need to modify URL in your application. So then you have all the data similar to that here, then you can get it. That is the easiest solution. Let me complete.
Yeah.
That is the easiest solution, but you don't want to take that. So what are all the data, like, you want to get the data back to your source bucket. In that case, we have an option to choose what are all the data you want to. So navigate to actions, you can copy the data. So then automatically you will get this copy of the data in the source bucket. Whenever you select the source here, select the source bucket. Okay, then choose destination. So what files you observe that you got deleted in source, those all we can get it back by using this copy option. Or third option is there. So you can run a command, you can synchronize both the buckets. Whenever you are synchronizing this, what data you have here in source, what data is not available in destination, it is going to synchronize. So that's one, and you can change it. You can modify this Singapore bucket as the source and Mumbai as a destination. So then both buckets are going to contain same amount of the data. So we can use sync, we can use copy, or application level also, we can modify bucket name. Multiple
So
options.
in case of sync, right, will it delete the files from the destination which are not there in the source?
It won't. It will create a new file.
Okay. So again, the problem stands, right? I mean, let's say there's a data set of users, right? I got thousands of users in my organization, right? And those user record were in the source bucket, right? And over the time, those keep on deleting, right? But since my destination was keep on resyncing with the source, right? I would be having all those users available in my destination, but those were not there in the source. So
don't find the scenarios that much like,
mhm.
realistic.
Would you mind, Avinash, let me comment on that.
Yeah.
The source replicates in the destination doesn't mean the destination replicates in the source around. So forget about whatever in the source happens, resides in the destination. So for today, there are 10 records on the destination, it remains same. If the source bucket has 5 records, still destination bucket has 10 records. The replication works. If you want, you can make that 5 available in source again. You clear?
No, but that will make problem now. I just
No, that is
require
not problem.
I don't require
That is
10.
not problem.
First of all, I have a question. First of all, why are we designing this?
No, I mean, it's just a problem, right? I'm looking for a
This.
solution for that. I mean, how can I sort this problem out?
You have to delete in the destination
Yeah.
bucket as well in such case.
Yes. That's a simple statement, right? We can say that.
That's it. But the replication doesn't help in that case. That is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vinash. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Avinash, one more thing. In Hadoop, like we are dividing, like we have a file size like 64 MB in that kind of stuff. So here I don't think so. We are replicating whole object, correct? We are not replicating a part file.
We are replicating entire object, yes.
Hmm.
And Avinash, when we say like when we are uploading a 5 GB file or a 10 GB file, we won't be accessing that until the complete file is written to S3 bucket, right?
Yes.
And the replication will not start until the file is committed to S3 bucket, right?
So when that object got uploaded to S3 bucket, then only the replication feature will come to the scenario.
Okay. So if something fails at 4 GB, upload during the upload due to network issues or something, so I have to re-upload the complete file once again.
Yes. So we have a lot of third-party tools actually. For example, S3 browser, you can use WinSCP or like, Cloudberry Explorer. Many third-party tools are there where that applications will give pass and resume options also. So we can use third-party applications also for that. Or you can even use multi-part upload or, if it is a 5 GB. So that's a small file only whenever you enable transfer acceleration and all.
Okay. So do we have a separate topic on multi-part upload?
I'll show you how it works. Yeah.
Maybe, well, Avinash, one more question.
Yeah.
We have replicated one of the file maybe from source to destination. It will be under replicated, right? Somehow we have extracted in the form of copy and move to the source again. there is an option called again replication, right? Will it again replicate to destination? Does it form duplication of files? Or will it have any
One
other?
thing,
Yep.
it contains property as a replica. When
Even
it
though
is,
we extract and move to source, even the transition will be under status called replication. I mean to say in the source.
okay. See, whenever put operation happened in the source bucket, that means upload operation or object got modified or re-uploaded, that will replicate it to destination.
Okay.
Yeah. Now on top of that, what is your question?
Actually, we have extracted, I mean, copy and move.
Where extract happened?
From destination. One of the file I am copying and moving to source again.
So you have a file in the destination, that file you have copied to the source.
Yes.
Okay.
That file again falls on the same bucket, right? Will it again replicate into the destination? Since we have already have a policy, right? Since we already made lifecycle, right?
We are getting that object from destination bucket to source. So if you directly upload, then it will come to the destination. So if you are just using copy or like a move option, it won't create another copy in the destination bucket, as that object we are moving from the source, I mean destination to source.
But it should consider as a new object, right, in the source.
Your source and destination is going to be same in that case. So they added bit intelligence, I'm assuming.
Okay.
So with that intelligence, it is. So.
Okay, I'm just thinking, yeah, just for curiosity.
I got it, you guys, like, many guys, like, yeah. So how does the bucket sync works? I explained the same thing, Ravi. So is there a few object deleted from original bucket? Come on, that we discussed already. Does this replicate bucket also maintain yes, it maintains the versioning of the object. So how does the synchronization takes place? It copies the data from source to destination. AWS transfers the data from source to destination.
Avinash, do you use same region replica more in real time or cross region, like in
First
real
of
time?
all, we use very less this replication until unless the client have a specific requirement, then only we go with this replication. But we don't use that much. I'll log in and I'll show you that.
Avinash, one more small thing. So can you please let us know what are the real world problems we will be facing with the S3 uploads or a copy kind of thing?
Sure, we'll talk about that as a S3 conclusion.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Maybe I have one more question, sorry.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, we can understand this is the disaster recovery, this replication, right? But the question is, there will be 3 sets, right, in the availability zones. How does the syncing works? Actually, we don't configure anything.
First of all, I clearly told you, can we see and can we manage those 3 copies?
We don't have option, right?
Yeah.
So deletion and insertion both works syncing, right? Why? Because in replication, deletion doesn't work, right? Just a question. How does it manages in the availability zones?
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Okay, fine.
Guys, let's concentrate on the topics we discussed. I'm getting a lot of questions in chat box that we are going to discuss in our coming session. So I'm not going to comment anything on the topics we are going to discuss in our coming session. Yes, I believe same, Sai. All right, so that's it for this session, guys. So I assume like you guys are like bit overthinking about that backend mechanism and all. So don't worry about that. So yeah. Can you please send the link? I hope I already shared that. Let me paste that link again here. So the same link for every single session notepad document I have pasted for everyone, right? Okay, so that's it for today's session. See you again tomorrow, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Avinash.